Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is your boy, Mr. Box Office from Mr. Box Office TV, back with another show for you today. And in this show today, I want to speak about, should we give Ange credit for a European run? It's a question that needs to be asked because in a world of where Tottenham Hotspur have done the most unthinkable, they have ended up going into the Europa League final, orchestrated it, getting through teams like Alkmaar, Frankfurt, and Bodo Glint. And now Tottenham are on the cusp of making history. Ange Postecoglou could be the most successful manager of the last 2 decades. And so, with all this upon us, even though the season's been such a flop, with us being 17th or 16th in the league, with 20 losses so far, and only 2 games ahead left in the season, and that could be even more, being our worst season for many decades, well, many seasons now. The stats of this manager getting worse and worse and worse. But then with the Europa League, it gives a bit of solace to this manager, Ange Postecoglou, who always wins in his second season and keeps his reputation intact. So this is something that we're going to talk to you today. And we might have an ultimate little surprise as well in everything as well. Also on the show today, we're going to speak about KULU. KULU, who I don't rate, who everyone was going over the top about. And now he finds himself out of the Europa League final. So what is Ange going to do? Because plan B, without Maddison, without the wonder kid that is Burval, what is he going to do to get through this final? A final that Mr. Box Office told you we're going to win, even though I don't like this manager, but let's not rinse and repeat that because that's what we do as Tottenham fans, and that's it. So welcome to the show, to the main event program, Mr. Box Office TV. And let's get straight into it with the show. And I just need to speak about this before I go into a little surprise. Hopefully he will, a little surprise for everybody and all. I want to speak about what is really getting on my mind at the moment. Now, it's interesting being a Tottenham fan. It's interesting being a Tottenham fan because, as everyone knows, I've not liked it since Pochettino left this club. And when Mourinho came in, I never liked it, didn't like it at all. And I've not liked it since. And then when I told you about this manager, I told you about how I didn't rate this manager, didn't know anything about this manager. People told me I need to do research on this manager. And look what's happened. And now I'm seeing some of the things going out on YouTube now. I've got a little surprise for everybody tonight because obviously there was one person that got my attention. So we'll be talking about that soon, and that's it. But there's one other thing I need to, there's another one as well that I need to speak about as well. I've seen videos going out saying, having to go at other people saying, well, you're so deluded about Ange. But where was this energy? Where was this energy from these people, right, before? When we were all telling you this so long ago. It's now all of a sudden now we're seeing people come out in force now saying, oh, yeah, I knew about Ange. I knew about Ange not being that great. You know what I mean? It's jumping on our coattails. And you know who we're talking about. Jumping on the main events coattails. Jumping on Maz's coattails. Jumping on Sabah's coattails. It's funny that they're all starting talking now. First one I need to talk about is We Are Tottenham TV Sim. I love this, right? he really got my goat a couple of weeks ago. And luckily, this guy's turned up because I'm going to introduce him soon. But when there was a debate to be had, he bottled out of it. Now, I love Sim. I absolutely love Sim, but he knows he bottled out of it because there was a debate to have. There was a debate to have, and he bottled out of it. And that's where I can't stand when I can't debate people. That's where I have a problem. That's where I have a massive problem. Then on the Wednesday or Tuesday, I see Sean of all people, Sean of the Spurs talk show that I don't really care about anyway, calling out bloody Sim. Wait a minute here. Where's this all coming from? Where's this all coming from? I never heard such absolute waffle in my whole entire life. But all of a sudden, so now he's on the side of, he don't rate the manager now. Oh, let's jump on that now. But what was he saying to us? Saying that we're negative. We're saying that we're negative. Funny that. It's a funny old thing, YouTube. There's a lot of hypocrites on YouTube. A lot of hypocrites. And that's it for me. The fact that now we're talking about Bentancur, Basuma, oh, they're really good. Not great seasons this season. I've got to tell you that for a fact. Absolutely, in no way, Jose, not great seasons at all. So two players that should be experienced. I feel sorry for Basuma. I'll give you that. I'll give you that one because he hasn't been played in the right way, and that's it. Maddison the same, but unfortunately he's injured. But the defence, I'm sorry, Romero, Van der Ven. Van der Ven's not been fit, but I told you about his hamstring getting ticking. Adoji, I told you about Adoji last season. I told you about Poro. Poro should be more up front, further forward. And Solanke's been an absolute disappointment. And don't get me started on that below average Emre Heskey, Richarlison, that Brazilian Richarlison. Don't get me started on him. Don't get me started on him. And don't even get me started on that below average Raheem Sterling, a.k.a. Johnson. Don't even get me started on him. Do not get me started on him. That tapping merchant. Honestly, I don't even want to get me started, and that's it. But what we will do, because unfortunately, there was a late revival because Mr. Box Office was benching because he needs to bench some energy off. You know what I mean? Bench some energy, get some weights, and that's it. But we've got a special guest coming on soon. It's one guy that at least he's turned up. I'll give him that. Yeah. But we all love. I love people that say stupid things and silly things because I bring them on and then we can have a debate about it. And he's turned up, and he should appreciate because I don't invite a lot of people on here because it's mainly what I try and do things on my own. But this debate needs to happen, and he has turned up. And so I want to introduce you all to Emmanuel, designated Hotspur. And I'm just going to add him now and big up to him. And
thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
How are you doing? How are you today? And
good, man. Good. I'm still digesting the whole news about Kulusevski, and the fact that we've literally haven't got a number 10 going into the final. And all the reactions that's come out of it. I've been watching a lot of content today. So, but no, thanks so much for having me, man. I think I really appreciate that. I think it's always good to have debates. It's always interesting debating with people who have different views to you. But listen, YouTube is YouTube. People are always gonna have either black or white, and there is no gray area in things. But we'll get into it. We'll get into it. We've got a game tomorrow as well. So yeah, let's get through it, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Like always, Mr. Box Office is always having a good day. You know what I mean? Even if Alex is boring me to death. But anyway, moving on. But let's get straight into it. All right. Welcome to everybody in the chat, by the way. As everybody knows, I'm not going to get into it too much, but we'll talk to everyone later, and that's it. But welcome to you all. Keep liking, subscribing. But let's get straight into it. Now, like I said, it was interesting how we got to know each other. Now, and also, by the way, don't get used to this though. Yeah, you're lucky, right? I think you're the fourth or fifth person on this show. I think so.
Oh, really?
Take this
Fair
what
enough.
you will. By the way, you know what I mean. It's not
Fair
because
enough.
I'm not popular. It's just that I like to do things on my own. You know what I mean? You know,
No,
because
that makes sense. Makes
you know,
sense.
when you got your own platform, sometimes you need to just let it out. You know what I mean? And you know, that's the best way of doing things. You know what I mean? You know, but you know,
Yeah.
but big up to you for turning up though, Manny though. But is it Manny or is it Emmanuel? Is it Manuel or Manny? Is it someone that just
Yeah, money works. Money
Manny,
works. Nice and easy. Yeah.
Yeah, Manny. Yeah, but you obviously have a lot of respect for Ange Postecoglou. Now, the title of the show is that does Ange Postecoglou need some credit? Now, for me, well, no, I'll leave it to you. What's your thoughts? Because you're the guest of the show. So, what's your actual thoughts on Ange Postecoglou and how has he gone
you
this
cut off.
season?
What did you just say?
So, yeah. So, what's your thoughts on Ange Postecoglou and the situation with this season? How has his tenure been the last two seasons? Well, last season, this season. What's your thoughts so far? And any other thoughts? And that's it, really. Just take it away like that, really.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I'm off.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think you're cutting off a bit, or is it my internet?
Let me just check. Let me see. I don't think. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Now. Yeah. Can hear you. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
go.
I mean, from my perspective, things are you know, a lot of times I listen to a lot of Spurs YouTube channels, especially people who are just literally, you know, everything's the manager's fault. You know, without you know, if you take out the manager from the equation, you know, everything gets solved. I'm not of that ilk. You know, I do think from when I look at what people say about, you know, one season 100% being unacceptable, true. You know, if Ange was sacked tomorrow or the day after the final, you know, win or lose, whether you want Ange in or whether you want Ange out, you can't debate, you know, the factually what has happened in terms of the losses this season, and a lot of times the way we're playing. My issue is that a lot of the things that have happened this season have got a lot of mitigating circumstances that when you actually drill into them, rather than just looking at the superficial, we've lost 20 games, that's it. You actually begin to understand to a certain extent. If someone says, you know what, I might want, if he does win it, or if he does win the Europa League, I might want to give him a little bit of the rope to see how he does. From my perspective, I fully understand it. And the reason why I kept going on to people is because people say a lot of things. I think Mr. Boxer, you said that you were 100% sure we're going to get to the final and we're going to win it. I can tell you for a fact, there are a lot of people out there who said the exact opposite of that. And they were so sure we had to sack this manager in order to get to a final that they literally staked their entire existence on YouTube on it. But then as soon as we get to the final, everyone is quiet. So if you're asking me from a, you know, summarization point of view, what do I think of his tenure? I think in the first season he did okay. He lost Kane the day before we started the season. He brought in, you know, and that was after bearing in mind the season where we finished 8th. Conte got sacked mid-season. Then we brought in Stellini. Stellini got sacked. Then we brought in Ryan Mason. It was absolute chaos within Spurs. He got us to a 5th position, albeit bearing in mind it was 2 points off Aston Villa. And obviously people would argue it was partly his fault for not being able to adapt. And then this season, again, he's got us to one semi-final in the Carabao Cup, where, in my opinion, again, we got very unlucky with the timings of our injuries injuries leading up to our second leg against Liverpool, that we were leading by one goal already, and playing Liverpool, who are the champions now, home and away, over 2 legs is always more difficult than just playing them in a one-off game. And he's also got us to another competition's final, where, in my opinion, I'm shocked by United content creators and the kind of optimism they have, but I am confident we're winning that game. And if he does win it, it's not been a great season. It's been a successful season from a trophies perspective, but it's been a disastrous season from a Premier League. That's how I'm seeing it.
I mean, for me, okay. I mean, looking at your answer from what you're saying right now. Okay, This man's had a season and a half, or season and a bit, right? Near the end of the season, right?
Yeah,
now,
nearly 2,
right? Nearly 2, right? Last season, right? You had 1 game a week. 1 game a week. Right, I don't think he was that. I think after the first 10 games, which I knew it was a manager bounce. Okay, it weren't that great. Let's be honest here, right? The record wasn't great that season. Right, I haven't got the stats. Unfortunately, I haven't got the stats, but it wasn't great. Points per game, right, up to this point right now, it's 1.2. I think it is. Someone can say it in the chat for me, but I think it's low. I think it's worse than Christian Gross. Worse than Christian Gross. You're saying to me, this man done well. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not being funny. This man, right, Pochettino had a harder run, harder time, right? He was progressing up here. Right? Postecoglou's been down here, this league, right? You talk about the Europa League. Now, whatever you say about Frankfurt, yeah, that was cool, but that wasn't him. Right? And I'll tell you for a fact why he's not him, right? Is because he decided he done the same thing against Man City. He did the same thing about Aston Villa, right? What did he do? Go back to Ange Postecoglou straight away. The Brentford game, right? I think we had injuries then. Right, which is his fault, by the way, because he's over-egged these players, massively. And by the way, right, the beginning of the season, right, everyone was saying we've got a great squad, yeah,
but they weren't saying that.
With Archie Gray, right? We said we don't need a midfielder because we're very impressed with Archie Gray and Bergvall. I said that's a big mistake. You having a laugh? You having a laugh? We're champions with Europa League. You having a laugh? No, we can manage with it. He said, "Oh, we've got Vucevic and Phillips on loan, so they're the future. So we don't need to worry about them because we've got Van der Ven, whose hamstring was always going to tick. We always knew his hamstring was going to tick. Everyone's telling, like me and Dan, right? Dan the Hotspur Hood, after the first 10 games, said Van der Ven's hamstring is going to tick, and it ticked. It ticked how many times, right? Adoji, right, had 1 good season, right? And we said when he second season, let's see what he does, because second season you've got to be better. He's been crap this season. Porro has been defensively poor, right? Very defensively poor. But we all said they're wing backs. Right? Funny though, right? When we play the players to what their strengths are, right? Because you saw what Basuma, what people said about Basuma, right? Oh, Basuma's useless. Oh no, we need to sell him. Look what happens against bloody Bodo Glimt, which we're always going to beat. After Frankfurt,
yeah, 100%.
There's no way we're not beating Bodo Glimt, because if we can't beat Bodo Glimt, what are we doing here?
Yeah, 100%. I was always confident with regards to playing Bodo Glimt. Both, even when they scored that 1 goal after we went up by 3. I was at the stadium, and I was thinking, everyone was saying, we need to be careful, etc. I was like, nah, absolutely not. But just to go back to what you were saying, right? My thing, especially with obviously there are two parts of this. when it comes to this competition, being, people saying, oh, the teams in this competition, I'm not having that. I'm not having that. The reason why I'm not having that, I was actually taking a look at the previous managers. So Poch, obviously, with regards to the Carabao Cups, etc., he played Liverpool, went out to them, played Chelsea, went out to them. I fully understand. They have better resources, makes sense. But when Poch was in the Europa League, he went out to Ghent over 2 legs, right? Mourinho went out to Everton in the cup, Norwich in the cup, Zagreb in the cup. Conte went out to Mura in the cup, Middlesbrough in the cup, Sheffield United B team, bearing in mind, and I was losing my head because he was playing 5 at the back, playing Sheffield United. And then he went out, and they were in the Championship, by the way. And he went off to Forest. So I'm not having anybody tell me that, this competition is not good enough. This is no. You play the competitions that you're in, you play who you meet, and then if you beat who you meet, you can only beat who you play. And that's it.
So can I count your argument then? Can I count your argument then? Right? Okay, so what happened against Galatasaray? Got bantered. Right? What happened against Roma?
That was our B. That was our B team.
Who got sacked their manager and brought in a new manager? What happened there?
Remember, that was our B team. That was our B team.
Rangers, yeah. Rangers.
The game at Rangers, we didn't play well. That I agree with you, 100%. Galatasaray was our B team, and when we brought in, I think
wait about B team. Let's not do this B team thing because what's the B team? Wait a minute here. Right? Because I need to correct people because this is where you're getting wrong.
Go on.
If it's our B team, it's our squad. Okay, it's our squad. Mikey Moore, everyone was making say, we don't want to put the pathway to Mikey Moore. That's why we got that below average German Shane Long, Timo Werner. Yeah? And look what's happened to Timo Werner. And everyone was telling us, after we signed him the second time, we said, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know what I mean? Big up Ellie, the Queen Ellie, by the way, in the chat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have to always respect her. She always respects me. But the point is, right, back to the show. Sorry, mate.
All good, man. All good. I can see.
And also, big up Brian, by the way. Big up Brian every single time. And big up my boy, Big Preach. Big Preach. You'll know about Big Preach soon, Manny, because I'll be introducing you to somebody very soon that you'll be very interesting to meet. Don't worry, they're very nice guys. Don't worry about them. But the point is, though, back to the point. I do go off the point sometimes, but anyway, moving on. But yeah, I'm sorry. Everyone said that we have got a good squad, right? And I said, right,
not me.
Champions League, League, in Europa League, we had 1 game a week because we got bantered out all the competitions last season, right? With 1 game a week, with your manager that said, oh, he's done well this season. He did well this season, right? But last season, he had 1 game a week last season because he got bantered out every competition when he had 1 game a week, right? This season, right, we said we need players because the way that we play, we're going to get injuries. Even when you look at Celtic, look at the injuries that he had then. He had the injuries then as well. So he's got
not to this level. And this is where I am very critical of Ange, actually.
Yeah.
Because I always say, if people are going to go ahead and criticize Ange in relation to his squad management at the start of the season, I am all for it. Because he did overplay Romero. He did overplay Van de Ven, which is what caused the injuries at the start when we were actually gaining momentum. And KULU, because remember, I was on the show that you came on a few days ago with Dan, and the stats that I was rattling out, I do have them now, right? So by the time just before we got to the point of us getting those injuries, I had someone tell me, oh, it didn't feel like we were playing well. Yeah, 100%. It didn't feel like we were playing well because you're looking at the 5 losses that we had to teams that we shouldn't be losing against, right? But prior to that, we were top on goals scored. We were second behind Liverpool on expected goals. We were literally fifth, just behind Arsenal on expected goals against. At that point, we were fourth lowest. We had the fourth lowest goals conceded at that point as well. And I'm like, that is the period where I was thinking, well, we played Leicester, we drew 1-1. No chance we should have drawn 1-1 to Leicester at that point in time, especially the way we absolutely battered them in our chance creation. We lost to Newcastle 2-1. Again, absolutely battered them. Loss of concentration by Romero. One error. And that's why I go to people and I say, there is a bigger issue with us. Yes, you can talk about the manager's issue, especially with regards to rotation. You can also point out his style of play sometimes. But as you said a lot of people said we had a good squad. I never said that, because to me, as I looked at our transfer policy in the summer, and you bring in Solanke, which again I like Solanke to a certain extent, because I think he is a willing worker, but let's be real, he is nowhere near the quality of Kane. And then you go and pay 40 million for Archie Gray to come and play as our number 6 in the Premier League when he's got zero experience. You have to point the hand at the recruitment policy. And this is not an Ange problem. That is a Conte problem. Conte left because of that. A Mourinho problem. He didn't get what he needed. A Poch problem. We didn't back him when we needed to back him, and went three transfer windows without backing him. We went into this season thinking that we could just scum our way through the Europa League by playing our B team and play our A team in the other game. And it was working at the start, because we weren't really playing in any other competitions, which is shown by the stats that we have. But as soon as we had that injury to Romero and Van de Ven, and we had to start bringing in other players, everything started collapsing. We had 11 players injured at one point. It's crazy. Poch never had that. Conte never had that, which is why I have a certain level of, not a massive entire kind of sympathy, which is why I said I do understand people when they say sack, when they say, oh, well, if he was to sack him, cool. I get that part of things, but I do have to have a little bit of context. Like, I can rattle in. We had Vicario, and this is all at one time, because people keep telling me Arsenal have got injuries, as much injuries as us. United, no. It's different having injuries through an extended period. What this person goes out, this one comes in, this person goes. Now, we had Vicario, Van de Ven, Romero, Udoji, Madders, Spence, Johnson, Werner, which obviously no one cares about, Odober, and Solanke, all injured for extended periods, all at one time. That's literally like me saying, okay, right, if I look at the Arsenal team, Raya, Gabriel, Saliba, Timber, Odegaard, White, Saka, Trossard, and Nwaneri, Havertz, all out at the same time for over a month. Liverpool, Alisson, Konate, Virgil van Dijk, Robertson, McAllister, Trent. We have to have a certain level of context with it. Don't get me wrong, by the way. 20 losses is crazy. 20 losses is crazy. That he has to take responsibility for, because it's his choice, it's Ange's choice to, when he doesn't have the players, to still try and play this Ange ball. It's his choice, which has led to us losing more games than we should have. But with these injuries, what position were we going to be, really, realistically? 10th? 9th? 11th? I think you're muted. Or is it me?
Let me just talk about some of the injuries that you just said, some of the points that you just made. So you're making a lot of points about the injuries, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened against Crystal Palace away from home? When we
100%, that was unacceptable.
What happened against Ipswich? Right, you're telling me you can't beat Ipswich? Right, what happened against Wolves?
No. Those are the two games.
Yeah, but what happened against Wolves?
We didn't lose. We
and if you're talking about injuries about centre backs, right? If we want to do this, right? Okay, so why is it that Dragusin and Davis were playing against Man City and we won 4-0? Was it them two in defence? Let me have a look. Let me have a look.
Yes. Again,
so it's those two in defence.
Yeah,
so,
no, it was
so
them.
we didn't miss them
Yeah,
then.
100%.
We didn't miss our front pair then, didn't we?
But I'll tell you what. But I'll tell you what. 100%. That's a very good point. Yes, we won with Dragusin and Davis,
and I think they've got us through the Carabao Cup as well. I think they've got through us in the Carabao Cup as well. Davis has been,
but that's
at the early part, the first part of the season. And by the way, I had to apologise to a certain David Harris about Harry Winks, Sanchez, Sissoko, and Davis. Yeah, because I was defending them under Mourinho, right? But I had to apologise to him after content because I thought they were just bang average. I don't want Davis at my club. No, I don't. But he's been our best defender. He was our best defender at the start, at the beginning of the first part of the season, right? The first part of this season, right?
Yeah.
Romero has been awful this season. He's only turned up because he's got an agenda. Because he's going to be off next season. He'll be off.
You could say so.
He's been more interested in Argentina, right? He gets overrated, right? He's been injured most of the time, and then when Argentina internationals come up, oh yeah, I'll spring up now. Oh, I see the light. You know what I mean? Hallelujah! I need to go to my. I need to go there. I need to go to Argentina and play for my country. But anyway, moving on. But yeah,
but back on your point though. Just 2 seconds about the Davis and Dragusin thing, right?
Yeah,
100%, right? Because obviously Dragusin was our third defender, Davis our fourth defender, and they got that win against City, and then they actually did okay. But then when you actually bring in the point that right, so then they started playing Thursday, Sunday, same Dragusin, same Davis. Thursday, Sunday, and then Davis got injured, and that Archie Gray came in. Thursday, Sunday for 2 months and on. That's when fatigue comes in. Like all I'm trying to say is, I'll go back to the same point. 20 losses Ange has, right? That is on his head because it's his decision to decide to have these players who are so fatigued after playing for however many months without any sort of rotation, but still play a high line. That's his decision. But the point I'm trying to make is that if people think that with the kind of injuries that we had this season, a lot of them, by the way, not because of Ange per se, but a lot of them getting injured in training because of fatigue. Where Solanke went and took a shot, twisted his ankle. What's his name? His knee. Bissouma, same thing. Like these are injuries, not because of the fact that people impact. There is an impact during a game, a high intensive game. No. It's because these players have been run because our board decided to leave us short in the summer and go on a recruitment spree of youngsters instead of actually bringing in first team ready players. And the first team ready players that we brought in, again, as you said, Timo Werner, right, who could do nothing for this team in helping them out, is one of the reasons why we are in the predicament that we're in. And then we got to the January window, and even though we had all those injuries, these guys refused to the manager was literally begging, by the way, on during his press conferences, and they refused to bring in anyone until the last game of the last day of the transfer window in January. We have to be able to point the fingers at them as well. That's my only point. We have to point the fingers at them because it's negligent, absolutely negligent, for them to be able to fill that kind of team during the summer and allow us to go through all the way to the end of January with these same players. It's crazy. It can't just be the manager, full stop. It can't.
By the way, big up Kuva, by the way. Big up Kuva 99 and big up Mark and big up El Telco Corral, Jose. Big up to you. These are just people I know and they're very good people. But big up to everybody who's in the chat. Big up to everybody. Please like and subscribe and that's it. Listen, regardless whether I agree with some of your points there, the problem I have at the moment is it seems that Daniel Levy seems to be the shooting ghost, really. Maybe that's the wrong term of saying. Sorry if anyone's offended, but it's just it seems to be the arrow that's everyone's shooting at right now. You know, because for me, yeah,
Right.
Daniel Levy's a problem. He's the macro, yes, he is. But I'm sorry, I think Postecoglou says he's happy. He's not complaining. He's not getting. I will say, Scott Munn and Johan Lang have been absolutely goddamn awful. They've been absolutely awful.
I was
right?
literally going to say
It's
that.
so awful. I've said already. I admitted it. And the thing is, though, when you have to say, right, I absolutely didn't like Højbjerg, but when I had to say, I'd rather have Højbjerg back in my midfield. You got a problem.
Yeah, that's
when
I
I say
there's a
bang
problem.
average so long. Eddie in the chat was telling me about Højbjerg. Said Højbjerg's a good player. I said no, he's bang average. He's bang average. Eddie can tell you. And then I had to admit, after our midfield, because Bentancur, that Juventus reject, which I said from the very beginning when we got him, even KULU I called the Juventus reject. Yeah. Bentancur only had 6 months. He only had 6 months. Yeah. And then he hasn't turned up. And then he has one good game. Oh, yeah, he's a great player. He's a great player. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's only had one game. You know what I mean? But Højbjerg, for his faults, was consistent. He was consistent, right? And we sold him off, right? And then we got Archie Gray when we could have got Locatelli. We could have got that player that went to Brighton in centre midfield. That was at Celtic. I can't remember his name now, right? That don't get on Vange.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now. If anybody in the chat knows, I think you can find him. Right? So, like, for me, I think Archie great. Oh, Riley, thank you, PB
Right.
and Jam. But big up to you, right? So, like, for me, just like, I do think there's so much excuses for this manager. So much excuses for this manager. I've got to be honest, and I'm sorry, he knew what he was getting himself into. He knew what he was getting himself into when he got in here. One thing I will give him, right? He did say from the very get-go, if you want to employ me, I'm going to play my football. If you don't want my football, don't hire me. He did tell us that. I thought he was going to adapt though. And the thing is though, right? Regardless what we say about B team, this is a good squad. This is still a good squad, right? It's better than Bournemouth, better than Wolves, right?
Yeah.
Better than Fulham's. Better than
but none of them had 12 injuries at the same time. 11 injuries, sorry.
Doesn't matter. It does matter. You should be able to deal with it. That's what top teams do. Aston Villa were able to deal with it last season in the Conference League. And they still got fourth. I
don't know. I don't remember Aston Villa having 11 first-team players at the same time.
Yeah, but still,
I don't remember that.
And this is the thing. And when I got the man that I couldn't even stand. I couldn't even stand him, Mourinho. He had bloody Eric Dyer, that below average. Eric. Well, was it no? Oh, what is it now? Dyer. Anyway, Eric Dyer. Yeah, they were calling.
Dyer Sanchez.
Yeah. Eric Dyer, who I couldn't stand. Right, we had Romero. Yes, we did. No, we didn't have Romero at that time, didn't we? We had Sanchez, and he was managed to get us fifth.
Yeah,
he managed to get us fifth, even in the Carabao Cup final.
But they had Harry Kane and Prime Son.
You didn't lie, by the way. You did talk about Harry Kane because I did watch it back, that video again. You did
I did. But
you did.
The context was totally different.
Pardon? Say again.
The context was different, but no. Going back to your point, 100%. But they had. That's the thing. I fully remember the games, and I remember Spurs fans having an absolute right go because Mourinho's tactics. And bearing in mind,
I didn't like it either. To be fair.
I'm not cussing Mourinho because obviously in his day and age, at the time where he came through, that's he had winners. That was the tactics that he would go with, and he had real winners in his team, right? Kane and Son were winners in terms of games. He would literally set us up in such a, and you remember, we set us up in such a way that we don't concede and say, Harry Kane, Son, do your thing. Ange, unfortunately, hasn't got that. He's not got that.
But has he made?
all.
Okay, so to answer your
And
question, yeah. You go, mate.
Mhm.
You want to make a point? Go on. I'll stop you in the flow. Go for it.
No,
Make a
I
point.
forgot my point anyway. So go on.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry about that. I was
no
just
stress, no
about to
stress.
say, right? Look how he improved Harry Kane and Son, and he got the best out of them. Can you tell me, has Ange got any better out of any of these players? And I'll tell you no. I'll tell you absolutely not.
Can I turn this right? Let me turn this round. Right. I was watching, and again, I'm not saying Spurs are on that level at all. I was watching PSG, Barca, and I'm looking at their wingers, right? And by the way, I saw some Spurs fans wanting Hansi Flick coming in to coach us. Hansi Flick plays an even worse line than Ange Ball. The only thing that he does have is crazy winners on the wings that were doing his job for him, right? But in any case, what was the point I was making? Oh, flip to sake, I've totally forgot. I've totally lost my point now. Back to the Mourinho bit, but he had no stress. But back to the Ange point. He hasn't. What the point I was making is that people keep saying Ange had a 10 games bounce, so you have to ignore that bounce to see where he's got to in the other. But you can't just dismiss the two. And the point I'm saying, the same way you can't just dismiss the two, you can't dismiss the fact that he's got 12 injuries at the same time. I know people are saying to me, oh, these are just excuses, but these are facts, right? And I saw someone say to me, oh, but it's not because of the injuries. We were doing the same thing. I'll run the stats again before the injuries happened. Top goal scored, 4th fewest goals conceded, second behind Liverpool on expected goals, top 5 chance creation, top 5 behind Arsenal expected goals against. These were not flukes. The issue that we had is that whether it's Ange, because some people will blame Ange, some people will say the players, in games that we should have won, right? Leicester, Newcastle away, and in games that nobody turned up, like you mentioned, Ipswich and Crystal Palace. Whoever's fault that was, those are the games that we should have got a lot more from. And had we got what we were supposed to get from those games, like I would have expected, we would have been having a totally different conversation. Because we did not have that, now everything is just marred up. Everyone thinks it was absolutely awful before the injuries came in, but that's not the case. And I was part of them. I was complaining about our set pieces and the number of set pieces that we were getting, we were conceding last season. And I was also complaining about the number of transitions that we were getting put into and conceding at the end of last season. In the first 11 games or 10 games, we had conceded 1 set piece against Arsenal, I think it was. And you could see that there were tweaks to what he was trying to do. Unfortunately, which is what, again, I go back to where I understand people, when the injuries came because of, again, Ange's lack of rotation, he did not adapt. He didn't adapt. He waited and waited and waited. It got worse and worse and worse. And when he actually did realize, you know what, if I don't adapt here, it's gonna all go to pot because it's already gone to pot in the league. He then decided to adapt in the Europa League to get us through games. So my whole point has been, and again, I've said this in my other fan cam, and I said this in the other show that I was on. If you tell me today, right, I'm going to get Inzaghi, or I'm going to get, I don't know who the managers that people want. Xavi, as an example. And Levy is going to have the summer of his life. Bearing in mind, he's already told us we got no money, right? And he's going to have the summer to bring in experienced players that can actually make a difference. Not 50 million on Brennan Johnson to score tap-ins, right? Let's get it right. Not Son being 32, being asked to play week in, week out, I'll be like, okay, fair play. Get rid of Ange. Let's get these players in because the chairman is going to work and buy players that are going to get us and propel us up to the top. We know that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen. And if we know that's not going to happen, and we've got a manager who's got us to 5th and albeit 20 league losses, but he's got us to a final. And if he does win the final, from my perspective, we have to give him a little bit more time. Give him a little bit more time to see whether he has really learned from his errors. If he hasn't, get rid of him. That's my only thing. That's my issue with people saying get rid of him now. I'm thinking, who are you getting? And is Levy backing them? We know he's not.
Okay, so on some of your points, you make a lot of points about the injuries still. And again, I can't listen to the injuries because I don't think those injuries. Some of those players were Richarlison, and you're telling me that we're going to be missing Richarlison, so I'm not doing that. Right? I will get rid of him tomorrow. As far as
he's good when he plays.
No, I don't care. I don't care. He's below average Moeski. Terrible. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I wouldn't even bother with him as far as I'm concerned. I mean, we had Defoe, we had Berbatov, we've had Teddy Sheringham, we've had proper strikers, Gareth Bell, and then we were left with Solanke.
I agree.
And bloody Richarlison. What we doing here?
Unbelievable.
What are we
fully
doing
agree
here?
with that.
So yeah, I wouldn't even go there. The whole thing about the Ange thing, for me, he's not a coach. He's not a coach. I figured it out after halfway through last season that he's not a coach. Because I was told that this guy he makes players better. He never made anybody better. Everyone was talking to me about Poro. Because like I said, who's improved? Who's actually improved? You know what I mean? When I saw Pochettino, and I didn't rate Pochettino, by the way. I didn't rate Pochettino. If you watch one of my shows about why I don't rate Ange, right? I'll explain exactly why I did not rate Pochettino. By the way, I do apologize for people that I'm repeating myself again. I do apologize, not for you, Manny, because you only just met me, but I apologize. A lot of people heard me say this story again. So again, this is what we have to do. This is what we do. Rinse and repeat, Tottenham fans. But anyway, moving on. But the point I'm making is though, right? I didn't rate Pochettino because I just thought I wanted Frank de Boer. I wanted Frank de Boer at the time, right? First season, right? I saw players improve. He had Adebayor, yeah. He had players like Soldado, right? Harry Kane wasn't really rated, really. Let's be honest here. He rose up.
Yeah. He wasn't. Right? He had to make his way.
Walker, Rose. He was getting the best out of Rose, right? Dembele. I mean, the second season, putting him in midfield. You know what I mean? Dele Alli.
Yeah.
You know? He had a defense of Alderweireld and Vertonghen. You know? Lamela, who everyone thought was useless. Look what happened to him. Ericsson. Chadley. You know what I mean? He made those players better, right? Carroll, he used him as well. He used all those players and got them into a unit and made them better as well every single time. I do not see what Ange has done to do anything. Since that first 10 games, which he's been living off, he's not been great, right?
No, it's Europa
League run, right? Okay, fair enough. He got through the games in the Carabao Cup. Fair enough. But then there was Tamworth. That was awful. Absolutely awful, right? And really, let's be honest here, we were embarrassing that game. I mean, if there's anyone better, we would have done better, as far as I'm concerned, right? That European run is living off, by the way. And I think he had a bit of a cheek when you had a guy at Man United, when, let's be honest here, you're talking to me about Real Sociedad. That's not an easy team to beat.
What did he say?
It's not an easy team to beat, right?
What did he say?
You said about Man United have been a bit lucky because they had 2 sending off against the Atletico Bilbao.
Yeah.
Too easy. That's not an easy team to beat.
No. It's not. I didn't say they're an easy teams. What I said is they had easy circumstances. Because
I think that's a bit of a cheat saying that when we have
no. Did you watch the game? Did you watch the game?
I watched the highlights.
Yeah. Okay. So I rewatched the game because obviously I was at the Spurs Stadium watching our game against Bodo Glimt, and then I came back home and I rewatched the Atletico game. I fully agree with you that especially the Atletico game was not an easy game. The reason why it wasn't an easy game is because the first 30 minutes they got absolutely battered. They got battered. Chances galore they missed, right? And then obviously United scored against the run of play, and I absolutely give them that. But once they gave that red card, which by the way, Garnacho handballed it before they even gave that red card, that was game over. That was game over. When they came back to Old Trafford, no matter what anyone says, they had to come in, play, and try and attack. That was it. I'm not bearing in mind, I'm not saying, in any case, regardless of what anyone says, you have to win. You know what I'm trying to say? But they've played Atletico Bilbao, who had a red card. They've played Lyon the game before, who had a red card. And I think Real Sociedad had a red card as well in all 3 games. So when I'm listening to other podcasts, and again, I absolutely love the way Sava speaks, by the way. He's quite eloquent. But I was listening to him today and I'm thinking on a preview show, and I'm like, Sava, you might as well just wear a Manchester United shirt. These guys are 16th, right? They're 16th, one point ahead of us, and they've lost 4 games less.
Can I say, because Sava's my boy, yeah? Sava's like, me and him argue all sometimes as well. But one thing I love about Sava, I actually like Sava when I argue with him, because that's what he's good at. That's where he's at his best. And I've told him this. But I will defend him, right? He said, like me, right, and I haven't copied him because I feel after Frankfurt, there's no reason why we can't win this now, right?
100%.
No reason. He said we're going to win this, so he has said it
last week, and now he's saying otherwise.
No. He has said he put a video out. When he's put a video out, so he's put himself out there. So he has put a video out saying that we're going to win.
I don't know, man. I was listening to him today, and
I think he's just listen. I think he's very. He has put out there that he thinks we're going. He knows we should be winning this competition, like me, right? He is smart with Man United. Like he's at the end of the day, let's be honest here. Man United are still a mess, though. I think we still can beat Man United regardless.
We have to beat them. I know we've got.
But yeah. It will be I mean, we'll get into that in a little bit later on. But
sure.
It will be not a very good game. It will not be a very good game. Right, quality wise, it will not be a very good game.
I reckon too.
Because of the fact that 2 teams need to win, right? And we're not very good whatsoever, especially our front line. But again, I don't really want to get onto that. But one thing we'll say about Sava, he did say we're going to win this game, and I will defend him on this.
No, absolutely. Again, I don't know Sava. I've never spoken to him, and I've definitely watched a lot of his shows. And I was just watching the Durock show this afternoon, and I was thinking, Sava, man, it genuinely sounded like, what was the point of us turning up? So, but in any case,
very honest. Again, I don't want to go too much on him because he's a good guy. He's a very good guy.
Yeah. No, he comes across.
I've known him for a long time now, and he defends. He's very, very honest, like me, right? So one thing and he's consistent as well. He will not take any fools for gladly. You know what I mean? So for me, but I will say this: he's not a Man United fan. He's a Tottenham fan.
No, I'm not. I didn't suggest that at all.
Yeah. No, but he's definitely a Tottenham fan.
And
he definitely thinks that we're going to win this game. He says there's no reason why, especially after Frankfurt. We didn't think we were going to get through Frankfurt. That was it. That was the game. That was the game.
I was scared about Frankfurt as well, but
As at Alkmaar, we made hard work of that one. But it was a Frankfurt game where I thought this is going to be over. I can go soccer events. I can just enjoy myself and go to Zoot dancing and do whatever, because I was 2/3 out the door. To be honest, my mindset was 2/3 out the door before then. But then after we got to Frankfurt, that's it. But go on. You were going to say something. Go on.
No. I've been saying, and again, people were ridiculing me, and fair enough, it is what it is. In August, I said we're going to win the Carabao Cup and we're going to win the Europa League. The Carabao Cup didn't happen. And I think, in my opinion, I feel we were a bit unlucky in one, the draw, and two, the players that we had available. But at the Europa League, Manchester United do not scare me. I feel it's a shame that we've got three of our midfielders out. But if you can't figure out a way of beating Manchester United, considering the system that they play, that they do not know how to play, then I'm sorry to say, then you don't deserve to be here. We have to win that game. We have to. No excuses.
I think it's the best opportunity of winning it. And like I said before, right, I still want him gone, and he will be gone. Unfortunately, Manny, he will be gone because a certain man, Prodigy, is coming back. And he
I think so. If you were to ask me, what do I think is going to happen at the moment? I think even if he wins it, I think he might be gone. And it's not just because Paratici is coming. What I have been very critical of Ange about has been his handling of fans. Yeah, that's what I've been very critical about, because I don't know whether you remember when he cupped his ear, right? And then had to.
Agreed.
I said to him, I literally was saying to my mate, I was like, mate, have some sense of understanding and some tact of where we're at. Because even if we had equalized and the goal had not been choked off, he should have understood that at the time, I think we had like 17 losses, right? And if fans are venting their frustration, you should understand that. And to turn around, he's just very emotional. He's a very emotional manager who has been he's been rattled by the coverage happening of the Premier League, across the board in terms of the media.
And he deserves it, by the way, Manny. He does deserve it, Manny, because of the stats, because of the
not 100%, but that's my point. That's exactly my point. He should have understood because of he should have understood. Like, that's my point with regards to Ange. He should have understood that fans are upset because of something legitimate, which is people are paying money to go to the stadium week in, week out, and we're losing. People are going away to go and support Spurs, and we're losing. So he should have had that understanding. And from my perspective, he should be galvanizing and bringing the fan base together, saying, listen, guys, I know it's been absolute horrendous, right, this run of games, but trust in me because we're going to do X or we're going to do Y. That would have lasted a bit into the fans' head than what he was doing. And I think that his handling of the media and the handling of the fans is what's going to get him sacked ultimately. Because I think Paratici and etc. is going to come in, look at what the fans' consensus is after the win, and think, you know what? If we give him time now, we're going to be in a bit of a mire by the end of the season, or maybe people that we want might not be there, etc. So let's pull the plug now. But my point is, if we pull the plug, if he does win it, by the way, because again, I said, I feel like his relationship with fans is not recoverable if he does not win it. If he does not win it, he will not be able to get the fans back. That's full stop, right? If he does win it, I've already seen a lot of fans which are a bit wobbly, and I'm thinking, will that help him to make his case? Because you can see already in the media in the last two, three presses that he's had, where the media was trying to diminish the cup. The media was trying to say, Man United have come out and said that the cup is not going to mean anything. So, it's not going to paper off the season. So X, Y, Z. He has come out and said, no. We are Spurs. We need this cup. And he's actually defended the club from top to bottom in respect of even when he was saying they were trying to tell us that the winner should not go to the Champions League. So I've seen a bit of a few stepping back in terms of what he said and how he's been interacting with the fans. Will the Europa League trophy get a lot of fans on board a little bit? I do think so. Could he still lose his job because of that relationship? 100%, I can see it. And I don't think anyone, even Ange in fans, which I know a lot of them, I don't think anyone can complain, because you'll be able to say, well,
He's had
The facts are there, unfortunately.
He's had 2 seasons. Unfortunately, let's be honest here, right? Right, he's had a lot more than Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, and then Antonio Conte and Jose Mourinho have done better than him with worse players. So let's be honest here.
Oh, we had 2 world-class players in their prime at the time.
Yeah, but why are they world-class players? Why were they world-class players? Because look at Son at the moment. We've got Son, who's supposedly a world-class player, and look how crap he's been this season.
But that's the board's fault. Box office. That's the board's fault. That's why. And again,
how is it the board's fault if he plays these crap tactics, though, bro?
But Son was in decline already from the last Conte season.
But if he's a world-class player, right? World-class players. Right, he's a captain when he should never have been captain in the bloody first place.
I agree with that.
He'd never been captain in the bloody first place.
That was a commercial decision.
I told people from a long time ago for Day Dot, right? I said he's a nice guy, which I don't do nice guys. You know what I mean? That's why top players leave our club, because they're not nice guys. They want to win, right? But this is the point. If he's a world-class player, right, he's able to, he'll be able to do better than what he's doing at the moment. He's been crap this season.
He's been crap for 3 seasons. And
the way he plays him as well. What's going on there? You know what I mean? It doesn't really help him when he's the place is decline, isn't he? You know what I mean?
It's sad. It's sad from my perspective. It's quite sad because I just remembered the point I was making about 30 minutes ago, which is weird. But the point about PSG is that I'm looking at PSG, right? And I'm looking on the left, they've got Kvaratskhelia. Absolute baller, one-on-one winger. He will come at you, whichever way.
Sorry. Absolutely agree. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then you look on the right, and you've got Desiree Doué or Dembele even, and you've got 2 threats who are quality players. Literally, whenever they get the ball, the first thing they think about is taking their man on, right? And then I'm looking at Spurs. I'm looking on my right-hand side. I've got Johnson that we spent 50 million on, who cannot take his man on. Like, genuinely, if you watch us, right, you will see that Pedro Porro and Romero even refuse to pass him the ball during the games. I don't know whether people have noticed. They refuse to pass it right. And the reason why they refuse to pass it right is because they know the guy's not going to take his man on. And then you've got on the left-hand side, you've got Sonny, who unfortunately does not, like, he gets the ball and the first thing he's thinking about is passing the ball back. Like, if you look at even Tell, and I know Tell has not been good enough since he came in, and Odobert, who are real on the touchline wingers, and you can see even with them, even though they haven't got the quality yet, you can see the difference. When they get the ball, the first thinking, I'm taking on my man. And I'm looking at our wingers, and I'm thinking, whoever you bring in Xavi, bring in whoever, I'm looking at them wingers and I'm thinking, we need new wingers already. And then I'm thinking about Solanke, and I'm thinking Solanke works hard, and I'm okay with having Solanke. But then, as you said, Richie can't keep fit. Your best ability is availability. If you can't keep fit, I'm sorry, you can't be at the club. He has to go. And I'm looking at all over the pitch, and I'm thinking, our recruitment process has been horrendous. And yes, Ange said, he was happy with it, and then I think a few months later backtracked and said, apologized and said, actually, that whole process was entirely wrong. But do I think that Ange would have really had a say in spending money for quality players, when I know that Conte, who's won leagues, and is a top manager, couldn't get Levy to change. Mourinho couldn't get Levy to change, and Poch couldn't get Levy to change. I don't think so. And what we should be doing is scouting. What has happened to our scouting, like our ability to look at a player who's not sought after by your City and your Chelsea and your Liverpool and bring them in instead of spending 40 million on Archie Gray. Where's Archie Gray going to play? Where is he going to play? You know what I'm trying to say? 50 million on Johnson. Like when people who are leaving in say we've spent money, that's my issue. Where's the
400 million. 400 million.
What's the money being spent?
More than 400 million.
You know what I mean? Spent
this is
60 million on
though,
Richarlison, by the way, 50 million on Brennan Johnson, 40 million on Archie Gray, 38 million on Odobert. These are all players that are not starters and not going to push anybody now. We need players that will do that now, regardless of whether Ange is here or not. That has been a shambolic recruitment process. And if Ange does stay, which the chances are very slim, or you bring in a new manager, you have to look at this transfer policy, because we are never going to do anything. We're never going to do anything.
But Manny, the thing is, though, you're making a lot of points about the ownership, which is fine, and recruitment. The recruitment's not been great since Paul Mitchell. Fair enough. This has been the issue for a long time, right? But however, it goes back to the whole thing about coaching, right? And this is where Ange is not a coach, right? He decided to have our coach, a mix of coaching staff rather than his own. That was another one as well.
Yeah, right? I agree with that one.
He's made these decisions himself, right? He's put himself in these positions, right? Yeah. So for me, he's got to be more accountable for this than ever, as far as I'm concerned. And if he can manage, and this is where your points are not falling down here, right? You say about us losing against Leicester City, right? Drawing Leicester City, which, let's be honest here, I don't agree with you, right? Leicester City should have won that game, right? They still had better chances than us. Our chances weren't that great. At the end, Leicester City could have actually got a win out of that.
Yeah, they could have. They could have.
Newcastle, and by the way, we got beaten by them away from home. By the way, at home, by the way, and they lost a lot of games before then and after that as well.
Yeah, so but we had just spent in defense in that game to remember. But make your point. Make your point about the away game. That yeah, go on.
But then you had the away game, Leicester City, which, let's be honest here, after the second half, right, they could have won the game, right? We didn't take our chances, which weren't great chances, right, in the first half. But in the second half, that was happened. Newcastle, right? Yeah, we did have chances, but because of our bad defending, right, and our high line, that cost us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
the point I make is, you say about this Europa League run that we've got, right? We played 2 games, Frankfurt and Bodo Glimt, which I don't count back Bodo Glimt, because we still should be beating Bodo Glimt, even though people said we were really impressive, right? If we can be that defensive, right? Okay, the players can decide, because it was the players that decided to play that way in the coaching staff, not Ange, right?
No chance.
No, he did, because if he did do it, he would carry on doing that throughout the season, right? And we will not be losing games by 1 goal, because that's what another point that fans make. Oh, we lose games by 1 goal. Well, okay,
I don't make that
point. Very good, like we did against Frankfurt and Bodo Glimt and Man City and Brentford. We wouldn't be losing games by 1 goal then. We wouldn't be losing games by 1 goal if we were pragmatic and on the counter attack, right? We wouldn't be losing games by 1 goal. You see what I'm saying? So that's the point I'm making. So if that was him, though, if it was him that decided to do it, he's the worst manager I've ever seen in my whole life. Then, because why is it? Why is it he decides he's not consistent? Why is he not being consistent?
That is a valid question. That is a valid question.
I'm sorry, but if you're one game playing one way, right, and then another game playing another way, how is that going to help any of the players? And you telling me that Maddison's like him playing like that? Are you telling me Maddison likes playing in that sort of system? Do you think Son likes playing in that sort of system? You know what I mean? Having to run a lot.
Well, listen, the players have come out and absolutely back this guy, right? But back to your point about Ange, Europa League, Frankfurt, etc., playing one way and the other. That's a very valid point, right? Because I didn't watch the Palace game because I was out with the family. However, all the consensus was that we were absolutely open once again, and the fact that we had squad players playing that game and him reverting back to us playing a certain way. I mean, I have heard people say that it's purely because they didn't have any chemistry, but that's a valid question. It's a valid question. And back to the other point that you made. Best believe I have been one of the people who has been on it about his coaching staff. By the way, in my opinion, his coaching staff are not good enough. Ryan Mason has outlasted every failing manager that I've ever seen. He was there with Mourinho. He was there with Conte, and he is there now, right? He's then got Mao Jelinek as well. I'm thinking, and I'm not saying these guys are not going to be great coaches in the future, but clearly they do not challenge him, right? They do not challenge him, and if by any miracle he does remain, because obviously he's won the Europa League, which I genuinely strongly believe we're gonna win, I still would want that coaching staff sacked, regardless. I would want a massive change because we're in an elite sport. You know what I mean? And him coming out and saying we don't need a set piece coach. Sorry, but we do. Because the margin of error in the games that we play is very, very minimal. So I'm not, unlike maybe, obviously people might have thought initially that I'm not a blind faith Ange lover. I can see a lot of his flaws, but at the same time, I can see a lot of mitigations. And there are a lot of things that even if he was to win the Europa League, I would want changed, other than obviously that part of it. And again, I reiterate, if you say to me there is a better coach 100%, and not a coach that's going to get us to top 5, which is something that Ange has done before, but someone who can actually push us on, cool, bring him in. But I don't think at the moment, I don't think the pool out there is great. I don't think the managerial pool is great at the moment. I don't know who you want in.
I would take Eddie Howe for this manager.
I like Eddie Howe.
I would take well, if Pochettino is available, even though I don't really want him back though.
What's going to happen. That's why you're saying that. I'll
take Pochettino. I would have taken Graham Potter, to be honest with you, after this manager. I would have taken what is it? I would have taken. There are so many because they're coaches. This guy is not a coach. He's not a coach, right? One thing that's the problem I have with him. He's not a coach. You don't see anybody that's improving. This guy has made me not go to games, and this takes a lot for me to not go games. Like I think it was after Man United. I think it was after that long break. I said, okay, he's had a long break, the week off, right? Okay, after what's happened already, has he learned? Go to the Man United game after a great protest. It was a good protest, really good turnout. Go into the game, and I'm like, I'm seeing the same thing here. He ain't learned. He's just gone back to handball again. Oh, this is just annoying. And I'm seeing the same old patterns. And Man United should have got at least a draw out that game. Should have draw out the game. Because they had so many chances, because their strike force was absolutely goddamn useless. Absolutely useless. I think that's where the problem is our strike force is absolutely useless now, to be honest with you. Maddison now. Because let's be honest here, Frankfurt and Bodo Glimt, our strike force was terrible.
They were. I think we
scored from a header. We scored from a header. I think it was either Solanke or Romero. I think it was. I can't remember. And Porro scored from like a fluke. Let's be honest.
fluke off a goal. Yeah.
That was
No,
it. And Frankfurt, it was only a penalty. Penalty. That was it. A penalty that got us
in the first leg, we should have beaten them by 2-3 goals. Though we absolutely
by the Glint.
No, Frankfurt.
To be fair, yeah, but I think Frankfurt were playing for the draw though. They played for the draw. They were very
because they knew they had gone over a year with scoring goals at home every single time. So they thought they were going to do that. But another point in relation to the point that you're making about him not being a coach, I don't agree fully. I agree, but I don't agree fully. And what I mean by that is, I actually think he is a coach. His coaching system, he thinks again, his coaching system is, I'm going to dominate the ball, press you to submission, and win. In the Premier League, that don't work, right? His attacking style of coaching does work. He's got, I don't know whether he doesn't coach defensively and he gives that to either Jedinak or whoever, but whoever it is that sets us up defensively is the person who, and if it is Ange, then yeah, he doesn't know how to coach defensive play. Because
how is he a good coach when he hasn't coached, when you see individuals that have not got better?
Well, you
see progression from all these players, and don't talk to me about Birdval, because Birdval's just
no. I was gonna say that you could argue that the way we Johnson in any other system does not get the number of goals that he manages to get with us.
Yeah, because it's the way his system will play, because the way he expects the wingers, the inside forwards to cross it in, and then he's in that right position, and that's it.
Exactly, and that's the system.
That's just the system.
Yeah,
that
but
doesn't mean that he's got any better. Let's be honest here. Have you seen Johnson get past the man? Does he get past the man?
That's his deficiency, and that's our recruitment issue.
Yeah, but you argued that we let go of Harry Kane, right? Yeah. Harry Kane, very last minute, right? Which was not true, by the way, because he told Ange from when he got to the club, I want to leave. So we all knew he was going to leave from the beginning of the summer.
No. So he said he doesn't mind if he stays. He's not going to kick his toes out the pram.
Kane's mind was at the door already, bruv.
100%. His mind was at the door.
Let's not get all this twisted, right? Because he wasn't playing in those Premier League games.
No. His mind was out the door. 100%. I agree with that. But his statement was, if you don't sell me, I will stay happily. If you sell me, I will go. That was not Ange's fault. Let's wipe away all the diplomatic stuff, yeah, right? When your mindset, right, was set, because let's be honest here, right? If he was going to stay, he's going off on a free at the end of the season, and Daniel Levy ain't doing that. So you know what I mean? Of course.
So
of course,
if your player is telling you at the beginning of the summer, I ain't going to stay, he ain't staying. So let's be honest here, his mindset was out the door. So they all knew they was out the door. Let's be honest here, right? Our replacement for Harry Kane was Brendan flipping Johnson. Yeah? Even worse, below average, I'll introduce you, below average, Emil Heskey, aka Richarlison. That was our two replacements for Harry Kane. Yeah? Exactly. Our two replacements. Right? So this copism about that and whatever it is, I'm sorry, I can't have that. And Johnson, yeah, he does score goals. He does score goals. But can you ask me, if he's just a guy that just scores goals, if he had Defoe on the as a striker, would you put him on the left, on the right, and him struggling to bloody try and get into the box and actually score goals? You know, because he wouldn't score the goals that he would have scored otherwise, isn't it? You know what I
mean? Yeah.
So why are you putting Johnson there when he clearly cannot get past the man? He can't get past the man, can he? So
he loves Johnson, man. I don't know why.
So at the moment, goals and he's a tapping merchant, and he's good at it. Why don't you just play him more inside so he's more comfortable in the box so he can score his goals? You know what I mean? This is where he's losing it so much, Ange. You know what I mean? You know, because even today, like, let's move on to the subject of KULU, right?
Yeah.
You've got no Maddison, our playmaker, because everyone complains about Maddison, right? But Maddison creates all these chances for us, yeah? We've got no Bergvall, right? And now we've not got any KULU.
Yeah.
Right? So what is he going to do? Because now you've got no creative spark. You've only now got, you've got your wingers, Alderbear, Tell, Johnson, Son. You might have your Mikey Moore as well.
Yeah.
So you've got those players available now. What are you going to do?
I'll tell you what I think. I will tell you what I think Ange is going to do, and I'll tell you what I would do, right? What I think Ange is going to do is I think he's going to play Sarr there. So he's going to play a midfield of Sarr, Bentancur, Bissouma. He's going to play Son if he's fit. So if Son plays 60 minutes tomorrow, he's playing the final, right? He's going to play Son on the left. If Son is not fit enough, he's going to play Tel there or Richie. And then he's going to play Solanke in the middle, and then Johnson on the right, Van de Ven, Romero, Porro, Udogie, Vicario. That's what he will do. Now, how do I feel about that? That midfield, I don't know, because Sarr has been stinking the gaff for a long time now. I think he played with
I've got an eye for a goal, to be fair. But I don't disagree with you.
What'd you
He
say?
does have an eye for a goal. He does have an eye for a
He
goal.
does. He does.
And he has got better at it a little bit, to be honest.
I don't dislike Sarr as a player in general. I think at the moment he's just going through a bad patch, right? I think he's long term he's going to be a great player. He's got a lot of engine in him. But I'm a bit scared about that midfield because I'm looking at United's midfield and I know they haven't got legs. Casemiro, absolutely, legend of the game. He's not got the legs. Ugarte, I'm faster than him and I'm twice his size, right? When it comes to what I would do, I would actually take a bit of a risk, right? And what I mean by that is we played 4-2-3-1 in the last two games away from home in the Europa League. So we played, as you said, and you made a great point about Bissouma. Bissouma in a lone pivot by himself is always at sea. Bissouma in a double pivot, that guy is good, right? Yeah. I would have a normal back five of Vicario, Porro, Udogie, Van de Ven, Romero. Then I'm going to have a double pivot to shore up the threat of Bruno Fernandes because he's the one going to make things tick for that team.
You're talking about Bentancur and
Bissouma in that double pivot. And
which
what
I don't disagree with. I still don't rate Bentancur, but that's
100%. But what I would then do is give the license to the front four, where I would have, if Son is fit, 100% I'll have Son because even though he's 32, his balls in the box, what's it called? His crosses in the box are A1, always pinpoint to the player. His finishing is also world class still, regardless of how bad he's been. But in that 10, I would actually play Odegaard. The reason why I'll play Odegaard in that 10 and I'll have that risk is because one, he's played there a lot of games for Burnley, but two, he's low center of gravity and he is very talented. He would go past players like they're not there. You could argue and say his defensive part of the game is going to be quite hard for him to replicate what Maddis does. However, by changing it from a 4-3-3 to a 4-2-3-1, it just alleviates a little bit the need for him to have to do that defensive work and worry a lot more about chance creation, because you said it right. In the games against Frankfurt and Bodo Glimt away, we didn't really create a lot. Our patterns of play going forward were not there. So we need as many talented players as possible in that final third to be able to be able to, like, trust me, I'm telling you, that's what I would do, by the way. If we and I've heard a lot of people say our game plan should be sit back and then try and play on a counter. I disagree. We obviously we have to play a hybrid, but United, that Euro is injured, Delete is injured. They're going to be playing Mazraoui, or actually probably Shaw, Maguire, and Lindelof. Put pressure on these guys. They are prone to make a lot of errors. I'm telling you now, they will make a lot of errors, especially with the formation that they're playing. So it all goes down as to whether, Ange is going to be brave enough, or whether he's going to look at our games against Bordeaux, Glimt, and Frankfurt away and think, I'm going to have a workhorse midfield instead, with what's his name, Sarr just running around trying to chase balls. That's what I think. Oh, I think you're muted. Hello?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I was eating as well, so I didn't want to eat while you're talking as well. It's rude, isn't it? Because like I said, I've been benching. You know what I mean? You know, some guys have got to get their energy. You know what I mean? But yeah, I hear your point. I think Ange is going to do what he's going to do. I reckon, and I'm only putting this out there because, as far as I'm concerned, that make a blind bit of difference, really, to be honest with you, right now. Because if we're embarrassed in this game, it's not like we're used to getting embarrassed now, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's been a terrible season, regardless. Anyway, but I think he's going to do a back three. I think he'll do a back three.
I've had you're not the first person who said that.
Three. Because I just think I think Porro needs to be a wing back. I think Doji needs to be a wing back. I think that's going to be our creation. That double pivot, I absolutely agree at the moment, right?
Yeah.
It's just what you're going to do attacking wise, whether you're going to put. I think you're better off having a number 10, right? And then have two up front with Solanke and another, right? So Solanke or Johnson, Solanke or
Richie,
no, or Solanke and Som,
right?
Because Solanke, right? There's too many times I don't like Solanke sometimes because he's not always in the box.
Right? Yeah, and also
too many times he's trying to be creative, and I'm just thinking, what you doing, mate? You know what I mean? You're supposed to be a striker. You know what I mean? Get yourself in the box. You know what I mean? Johnson needs to be up front because for me, that's where he scores goals.
So yeah, you can't take that away from him. Yeah,
utilize him. You know what I mean? And Man United have got mistakes in them. The goalkeeper's got a mistake in him. Anana's got a mistake in him.
Oh yeah.
So utilize
him. My worry is, so I think, funny enough, obviously Porro was a left wing back.
Danzo's that third defender, by the way. Danzo's that third defender.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Who for me has been very impressive for me.
Yeah, 100%. I like.
Let's be honest. He's not he's not the best defender in the world, but he defends.
No. He's quality. I like him more than Dragusin, by the way.
Yeah, well, I still think Dragusin's a good player. I think everyone's.
He just can't play a high line.
yeah, but that's not his fault. And
you knew
he wasn't. But I don't think Danzo's quality. He ain't quality. I think he's a good defender. A good defender. You know what I mean? And that's what we need. Good defenders. He likes to defend.
I don't dislike your formation. I think especially Porro was a right wing back at Sporting from memory. Udogie was a left wing back at Udinese before they came. So if we were to revert to a 3 at the back, that would absolutely suit them. Would Ange do that though? I don't think he's going to rip his formation.
But I reckon he would do it because at the end of the day, this is do or die.
This is it. No, 100%. It is do or die.
Like I said, that game against Frankfurt woke me up big time. He knew what time it was. He knew exactly what time it was because that was it for me. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So because, like I said, I thought it was ended after that game. That was it, done, finished, out the door. You know what I mean? But when I saw that, I was like, and then he's been trolling us since, because he's been trolling us so since then, and he's just been unbearable the last couple of weeks, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's no change there. Let's be honest here. But but yeah, I don't disagree with you. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't disagree.
I think my again, and this is no disrespect to United, because as you said, they are above us at the moment. But I've seen, United have had the more physical play, which is same for us. We've had the more physical players in the Europa League tournament, right? Which is normal in European competition. They are coming against us who are a Premier League outfit, who've, by the way, beaten them 3 times, even though it's irrelevant for the final. But I have seen their players fold under pressure, right? Week in, week out. West Ham are one of the dustiest, Deji will say, the dustiest team, one of the dustiest teams in the league. And literally, the wing backs were in no man's land at all times under pressure. We need to go in there and put them under pressure. We need to put them under pressure. We need to force the errors, and our backline needs to be solid. They need to be solid, because Fernandes, they're unlike us. They have a number 10, right? Bruno Fernandes. Everything revolves around him. But also they've got Ahmad, who I think one of the best wingers in the league when he is on his game, right? Those are the two that we need to be careful of. If we are able to contain those two, there is no reason why our quality can't shine. I cannot fathom. And people are saying it means more to us than it means to them. It means everything. He has to win. And then, as you said, you're right. You're absolutely right. It means everything to Ange as well. It means everything to Ange. Whether he gets sacked or he doesn't get sacked, this will be his legacy. If he doesn't win it, the legacy is going to turn from him being a Europa League champion to just 20 league games lost, 16th, 17th in the league, and sacked. So he knows what this means for him.
I absolutely agree. This is what I've been saying. I've been saying this for quite a while now. That this is the most important thing for him. This winning his second season, and this is a reputation thing now, and it's why he went to his coaching staff and went to and let the players decided to what they did against Frankfurt and what they did against Bodo Glimt, because like I said, look at the league. Look at the league. You see what I'm saying? Because if it was, like I said, if it was him and he decided to do it, right, he would incorporate it in his tactics right now. Now, if it was him and he's gone back to Ange Ball, he's the worst manager I've ever seen in my whole life, because no top manager does this. No top manager does this. Come on now. You know what I mean?
I can't explain it, to be completely honest.
We're not stupid. We're not silly. You know what I mean? But I can't give it. And this is where what the premise of the show is. This is why I can't give Ange credit. This is why I can't give him credit, because you should be better. When I'm reading out things like this, now just bear me 2 seconds. 3 North London loss in a row for the first time since 1989, right? Our worst points tally at the stage of the season since 2009, 16 years. We can't even get 10 home wins. That's awful.
Tough reading. It's a tough reading.
It's awful. Absolutely awful.
And when you look at some of the games as well,
that we've got a squad that is much better than bloody Wolves, bloody Brentford. You know, we're better than all these. We've got better squads than them. Nottingham Forest, and I don't care if they've got injury. They play one game. We're better than Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest hardly been in the Premier League this season, the last couple of years.
Yeah, but not teams like that. I don't even compare ourselves to because they will revert back. I'm telling you now, they're going to revert back. And again,
what about Bournemouth though? Are we
right?
gonna start dismissing their achievements when
No,
their
I don't.
manager Areola, right, has had the same sort of time frame as Ange Postecoglou, and I see players that are better coached.
Yeah, but he's played less games, right?
Yeah,
Than
but
Ange
regardless if
Postecoglou.
he's played less games,
It's,
he's done better in the FA Cup than us.
he hasn't done
So
better in the Carabao
Nottingham
Cup.
Forest has done better in the FA Cup than us.
Yeah, but we've done better than all of them in the Carabao Cup, and it's the same
Well, we
teams
should
that
be
we play.
expecting to be doing well in the Carabao Cup though. We're Tottenham
Yeah,
Hotspur.
but when I think we are very easy. We are very quick to dismiss. Like Iraola has got. I think at some point he had about 12 injuries, right?
Yeah.
And
And was he crying? Like
no,
we
he
have.
wasn't crying. But if you then have those 12 injuries and you're playing twice a week, every single week, that's when it hits you. Like people want Iraola, and I'm saying to them, mate, you better start thinking about another manager because Iraola is the same kind of manager in terms of the injuries that he gets, hamstring injuries, left, right, center. You give him this team that we have is going to be the exact same thing. So it's a from my perspective, it's a mix of things. Do I think Ange is at fault on a lot of things? 100%. I do think so. Like you mentioned our home record, right? And I'm looking at games like Leicester. We shouldn't be losing to Leicester at home. Ipswich. We shouldn't be losing to Ipswich.
Two teams
Ipswich
that
at home.
they're gonna get relegated this season, by the way.
Wolves. And again, sometimes you're also thinking, what is the balance? Like you've played about nearly 90 minutes of a game against Wolves and you're winning 1-0. And it's like, is it the manager or is it the players being absolute stupid, doing absolute stupidness to concede, like literally in the dying seconds of the game? And I was at that game and I was absolutely furious, right? So, but you have to acknowledge that there is a whole mix of things that has resulted in the situation that we're in. But if he so from your perspective, if he wins it, right, you would sack him still.
Yeah, 100%. Because you know why? You know why I would sack him?
Mm.
Nothing will change next season. He will think that his way is still going to work. So in the Champions League, we're going to have the same problems. We're saying we don't like 2 games a week. Well, Europa League, we played our squad. In Champions League, you
Yeah,
can't play your squad.
you wouldn't be 100%. You wouldn't be
You
able
can't
to
play
do
your
that.
squad, and then you're playing on the Saturday morning. You're playing on a Saturday morning, regardless. You know what I mean? They don't care. They don't care,
Yeah.
right? So, you know what I mean? So for me, it's not even a case of you've got to play you're gonna have to play in the Saturday morning or whatever time it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
No.
then you're playing Barcelona and stuff like that, and this is till January. You know what I mean? So I don't think we'll be able to cope, and we'll not get the players. And the thing is, though, it's not even a case of I'm thinking about us progressing to try and win the Premier League. All I'm saying is, as a club, we need to progress in terms of getting better as players. Progress players that we've got.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this youth project, you need somebody who's going to work with youth and get them better. You see what I'm saying? And work and make
No,
them better.
I see what you're saying. I just fully disagree with this youth project. I think there should.
No, I disagree with it as well. But this
I
is
mean,
this
you're
is
not
where we
gonna
are.
get Ethan Ranieri from Arsenal has just burst through. You watch him and you can see quality. The guy's not even getting game time. He's not even getting game time. We are relying on an £8 million player who suddenly found form right? Because when Bergvall was playing at the start of the season, he was horrendous in some of these games. Galatasaray being one, right? But his quality has shown through. But we are now relying on an 18-year-old to literally man our midfield. It's crazy. It's crazy.
The problem is, though, Manny, right? We said from the beginning of the season, we said we don't need any proper midfielders because we were really impressed with Bergvall and Archie Gray in training. And I said that was the big mistake on my channel. I said in the video, I said as soon as I seen that statement, I was like, from an ITK, I said, "You're having a laugh. You're having a laugh." When our midfield was shit in the first place. Sorry for swearing, but it was rubbish in the first place.
Yeah.
So this is the point.
Yeah.
This is the point I'm making. So it's like, this is always going to be a problem. And Bentancur was not reliable. Like I remember when he was out injured, they said, "Oh, Bentancur's coming back." I said, "You having a laugh? You think you're going to rely on that guy, that reject from Juventus? You having a laugh?" Everyone was going over the top about Kulusevski. "Oh, he's the best player. Oh, he creates everything." I say he's just a busy player. "Oh, you're joking, absolute joke for not correct rating. What you got no football knowledge." Look at him now. Hope he gets well soon. No disrespect, because no one wants to see someone injured like that. No.
Yeah.
But everyone was making fun of Maddison. Well, now look what's happened. When Maddison plays, mostly we have big scores. Notice that, because Maddison's the main player that creates for us. But because he plays
Maddison is a natural 10, right? Maddison is the only issue that I have with Maddison is that, and people say you pay for what you get for, right? Is that when the going gets tough, a lot of times he just disappears. His consistency when those things happen is why I always question. But you can never question his quality, because when he's on the ball, he makes things happen, and that's undeniable. I just feel like I just wish, and he is not a youngster, Maddison. I just wish he could take the game by the scruff of the neck a lot more than what he does. And
is he allowed to do that though? Because he's not playing in the right position to be able to do that. You see what I'm saying?
Maybe.
By the way, big up to Saba Football Heritage TV. By the way, big up to you. Got another person for your show, by the way, Manny. I'm joking. No. Hopefully, yeah, because he needs people to disagree with him anyway, because that's his view.
No. Big up, Saba. I do have beef with him though for not backing Durag Diaries. I've got big beef with Saba. I must say.
No. He loves Durag Diaries. He loves George. I love George.
I love him. He's a cool guy. Yeah.
I still love him. I love him anyway. I love it. Yeah. But yeah, back to the show. But big up Mike, by the way. Mike along, by the way. He's been really contributing really well, by the way. Big up to him in the chat. Big up to everybody in the chat. Please keep liking, subscribing. But listen, it's just for me. What's the point I was making? The point I was making is that I just think it's just Ange's got no excuses really for me, and I just think for me the midfield and the whole thing with the squad and everything else, it's been a problem for a long time. You know what I mean? But we were convincing ourselves that this was a good squad, and we knew it was problems from the very, very get-go. And the thing is, like, people think we're going to be able to cope in the Champions League with this guy. And for me, going back to the point, I think it was about Ange, why I want Ange to go. I don't think it's going to change next season. I think it's going to get worse. The injuries are going to get worse, and we're going to decline even further. We have been so lucky. The three teams that have gone down are so bad this season.
Oh, yeah.
We're not even going to get 42. The way it is at the moment, we're not getting over 40 points.
Yeah, I don't see
this is the same for Man United, by the way. Yeah.
The
difference is between Amorim and and what is it? And Ange, Amrin, right, has said, and the reason why he's saying it's not good enough, even if we win the Europa League, this is not the standard for Manchester United, and he's not hiding from it because he's sitting there saying, this shouldn't be Man United standard. This is not Man United standard.
No,
you know what I mean? This is embarrassing.
No, spot on. I think
embarrassing. He's not hiding away from it. He can't hide away from it. Even he's saying, if it's not good enough next season, I'm gone. I won't be. I'm not good enough for this club. Even he's admitting it. But Ange,
but the thing with that, right? Again, which goes back to my point about Ange and his, unfortunately, currently his lack of or inability to deal with the media. That's a clear example, because if you watch two pressers before that presser that you're talking about, he literally said it's absolutely not good enough form in the Premier League. We need to pick it up. We need, he was asked, are you going to just focus on the Europa League? He was like, no, we need to be able to pick up points, etc. He is getting to the point where he's getting frustrated with the questions being asked, and he is just starting to make excuses. And that's the issue. He's dealing with the media, unfortunately, in the wrong way, in my opinion. Because if I was
himself, mate,
exactly. He's currently
look at the things he said when he started at the beginning. Right, he said the fans can do whatever they want. Then he said about mentality from the fans after Man City. You know, when we were going to try and get into Champions League, right?
Yeah.
The promoting game. That promoting game. Do you have to go soon? Do you have to go?
Yeah,
soon?
yeah. I got to go in 5, by the way.
5. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's fine because I'll carry on because I've got a few things I need to say on my own anyway. But yeah. By the way, Manny, big up to you, bro. Big up to you. Is this your YouTube channel?
Yeah. So no. Thanks for having me on, by the way, because obviously we literally met in the craziest circumstances. But yeah, this is my YouTube channel. I haven't posted anything yet. I'm literally starting to build things up now, so I will start posting, hopefully either gearing up to the Europa League final or straight after that. I think you're the second show I've ever been on, by the way, on YouTube. So
well, you're going to be on more shows, because there's one other person that I've already told him about you anyway. Well, actually, I've told George about you, and there's another person. There's another couple of people. Obviously, Sava is interested because he needs somebody that disagrees with him anyway. And he's interested in you joining on tomorrow. It's the office there tomorrow at 10 a.m.
I will be.
Because he'd definitely be interested in you, definitely. But Spurs Kins TV, I've told my boys Smatic and Marlon, and don't worry, they love this sort of. They love.
I love a debate, man. I love a debate.
Yeah, they'll love you. They'll definitely love you, definitely. You know what I mean? So I have told people. So that's it for me. But yeah. To finish up, finish off your point. Yeah, because you've got to go soon, don't you?
Yeah, I think that's where I have that bit of a. I'm not entirely sure, because I look at what the Bodo Glimt game. I look at the Frankfurt game, and I'm thinking, and then I'm looking at his press conference where he said, "Guys, we got it wrong in the summer. Our policy was wrong, and we wouldn't do that going forward." So I'm piecing those things together, and I'm thinking, right, if he wins the Europa League, I struggle to think that our policy is going to be exactly the same. And again, I mean, when I say that with a pinch of salt, right? Knowing our board and our chairman, etc. And I'm thinking, he was fifth. He's now been absolutely horrendous. If he does win it,
do me a favor. Can you put your link in the chat? In the private chat, you're showing your YouTube channel on the chat, because people are asking.
I will do.
Do that as well. But while you're talking, because people are asking.
Yeah. So my point will be, he is showing certain signs of someone who's realized, hold on a second, I've made certain errors in recruitment and when I say errors in recruitment, I don't necessarily mean he is the one who's decided to buy every single player, because we know our board, right? And he's also showing certain signs of having underestimating the Premier League. So is it a case of, took the first 10 games by storm, then went through the entire season and then finished fifth after losing Harry Kane, and then the second season thought, yeah, I'm gonna go and do the same, play the squad team in Europa League, get away with it, got the injuries, wasn't able to adapt, and now has realized, actually, you know what? Maybe I need some form of adaptation. That is the question, because if it is the case, then surely if he does win it, you would want him to show whether he's turned a corner. But the problem is you cannot detract from the points that you've made, especially as an example, the way we played against Crystal Palace. If you have changed, keep that consistency to show other people. And that's where I am in a bit of a limbo. And obviously, I still haven't forgiven him with regards to the cupping of the ears, but I have in the past few press conferences, I've loved the fact that he's really, really went at the media and defended Spurs when they were trying to diminish what we are on the cusp of doing. So I think that's where we might differ a little bit, and that's where I feel like, giving him a little bit of time, if he was to win it, giving him a little bit of time to see would not be the most harmful thing ever, unless someone can tell me, right, well, I've got this manager and 100% know that the board is gonna back him and they're gonna do better. If you come to me, you tell me who that is, you tell me who we're gonna buy based on our wonderful track record, great. I'm all for it, because in the end, as you've said, we all just support Spurs. We want the betterment of Spurs. But if people can't tell me that, then I get a bit jittery, because I'm thinking, and obviously if he doesn't win it, I'm sorry to say, the relationship with the fans alone, unfortunately, would be enough. And obviously the 20 games that we've lost will be enough for him to get the sack, and nobody can complain about it. Unfortunately, nobody can.
Regardless what I feel about the manager, I think he's winning next week because of what I said. But it's been a great to have you on, Manny. By the way,
thanks for having me, man.
It's been brilliant to have you on. We should have you on soon, definitely.
Yeah. Let me know.
Please put your link in the private chat as well before you go, right? Because I'll be carrying on a little bit more. But we will see you soon. Definitely see you soon. It's been
thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure, and I always love conversations like this, because it's always good to get an understanding of all perspectives. So definitely.
So but it's been brilliant to have you on. Definitely have you on. I don't agree with you about the manager staying, definitely not. But it's been a good debate, very good debate. And we'll hope to see you soon. And that's it. I've just posted his link in the chat about his YouTube channel. Hopefully this goes through. Yeah, there we go. So please like and subscribe to his channel. I will be watching, because he appreciates Mr. Box Office. Like I said, if you don't invite Mr. Box Office, I don't care about you.
No, I'll definitely have you on, man. I'll definitely have you on.
But big up to you, and we'll hope to see you soon. And that's it. So take care of yourself.
Take care, man.
That's it. So everyone say goodbye to Manny. And that's it. Yeah, take care of yourselves. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that was Manny. On the show. A little surprise by Mr. Box Office. That's why the little intro at the beginning. But it was a good little debate there. Don't agree with some of it, but that's the natural thing, absolute natural thing, and that's it for me. But but very good debate, and this is why we love it on YouTube. Sometimes it's on the shows, to have someone with a different opinion. Some of the things you saying silly things, and that's it. But yeah, very good, and it's taken a lot of time, so it's good. It's good to see, and that's it. But big up to everybody who's watched and commented. Big up to everybody who's watching. Quite a few things that I need to speak about. While someone's trying to get hold of me, but I don't know. Trying to get hold of me on my phone, but I don't know who that is. Maybe Alex's maybe Alex's parents. But anyway, moving on. But moving on. Maybe I've done something wrong. Have I done something wrong? I must have done something wrong then. But anyway, moving on. But what is everyone's feelings about the Aston Villa game? Because there's a game tomorrow against Aston Villa away from home, where Tottenham Hotspur will try and get over 40 points, because that'll be an achievement this season. And try and get over 40 points, because really we need to at least try and sort that deficit out. Let's be honest here, to try and salvage something out of this season. But we'll try and get some form for the final this season. But for the next week's final against in the Europa League against Manchester United. So what's everyone's thoughts on the score, prediction on the score? No, I'm not going to talk about Haaland, that above average John Carew without the goals. But yeah, he does score a lot of goals. I have to be honest, Saba. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. But let's be honest here, Man City, without Haaland this season, without Haaland, in recent times with Mamouche up front, has done actually very well and got them into the Champions League. Let's be honest here. But moving on to Tottenham, that'll be another day. Man City, and I do think they'll win the FA Cup, one in the final against Crystal Palace. But it'll be a very interesting final. Let's be honest here, in the FA Cup final. But to move on to Tottenham Hotspur against Aston Villa, it'd be interesting to see what team he plays, and is he going to use this game to try and plan towards that final against Manchester United. Now that'll be a very interesting thing to see, because from what I remember from these quotes, I think he said that he's going to try and play a strong team. Now, because we all know Man United might play a strong team against Chelsea tomorrow, even though they're in really bad form. Let's be honest here, Manchester United, because they still lost against West Ham. But will Tottenham Hotspur and Ange Postecoglou decide to try and look at a plan to look at ways of preparing for the game against Manchester United, especially now we've got no number 10 in the game. So are we going to be able to see a few minutes out of Son, who needs minutes, let's be honest here, because he's been injured? Are we going to be able to see what he's going to do in that midfield with either Bentancur, Basuma, Sarr? How is he going to look at that? Maybe you might introduce Archie Gray, who, let's be honest here, in midfield has been very underwhelming. Let's be honest here. Or what we're going to do with that forward line? Because the forward line, for me, is a massive problem. Now, if Man United next week keep it tight, I don't think they've got anything to worry about attacking-wise for Tottenham. So how are we going to be able to cause problems for that Manchester United team, who have got a lot of mistakes in them? And this is going to be very important for the game tomorrow. How are we going to prepare for this Manchester United game next week? Because this should be a game to prepare for that game and get us into form. So at least we've got something of a little bit of form going into the game in the final against Manchester United in the Europa League, in the final. I think it's just a myth what's going to be happening. We don't know what's going to happen because what we saw against Crystal Palace, he went the other way. He played a second team of sorts with Ben Davies, Danzo, and then Spence, and it just didn't work. It didn't work whatsoever. It went completely to pot. Crystal Palace really should have ran away with the game. Let's be honest here. So, and then we ended up putting some of our main players on anyway. So this is going to be an interesting conundrum for Tottenham and Ange Postecoglou. Now, for me, I think we need to play our first team, give them some minutes, give them some time to. And I know there's going to be some fear that after what happened to KULU, he might want to decide not to play those players because he doesn't want to get injuries for the final, which is fair enough, because why would he care when, let's be honest here, I know that I think he's going to leave at the end of the season because of what we've spoke about before. But this is the big conundrum that he's going to have. And for me, I think he needs to play the main players, regardless whether there's going to be risk of injuries, because the form of our team, it's going to catch up with us along the way. And you can't keep on just chopping and changing and not being in form and expect us to just roll up to a final where we're not experienced of winning games, we're not experienced of winning big games. So it's just for me, we've got to play our main players. We have to play our main players. It just doesn't work for me. I mean, I see some people in the chat. There's some people talking about that they've got no confidence, which I understand. I understand Aston Villa are going for Champions League, so you wouldn't expect you got to expect them to be really up for it. They're not going to be happy that they had to move the game as well. As you see, Mark, big up to Mark, saying 4-0 to Villa. Then you have Daniel, who's been very much commenting in the chat. Big up to you. 3-0 Villa. Aluski, big up to you. 4-1 Villa. Then you have a lot of people not very confident. You've got Mike, who's been very, very active in the chat. 5-0. Well, 5-0 Spurs. 5-0 Spurs. Well, that's very optimistic. Very optimistic from Mike. But this just highlights a little bit where the conundrum is at the moment. But we do have quite a while to prepare for this game, similar to Manchester United, obviously, because we moved the game back to Friday. So Ange has got to make a really massive choice here, especially for the fact that we're really in bad form. He needs to make a choice of what does he want? What does he want? To go into a game, the most important game of Tottenham Hotspurs history, in bad form, against a team that are a similar bad form, or go into the game with a little bit of confidence in the team, players that have a little bit of minutes in their legs as well, and give a little bit of confidence that they're going to go into that game looking like, yeah, right, we're really on it tonight. We really are on it. And so this is the thing. This is the main things that we've got to take into account. I think there's a lot there for me where Tottenham have to really, Ange has got to really take this game seriously still, because the form of the team has been absolutely awful. If you look at the last how many games, I think it's one win in how many games now, which is absolutely terrible. That's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting form. And so, you just can't continue with that for me. That can't be accepted in any walk of life. Cannot be accepted. So, for me, I would play a strong team, and then towards the early part of the second half, obviously, I would start making substitutions. But I don't see the point of having your main big players on the sub bench rather than and then bring them on. I'd rather play them first, try and go out to try and make an impact in the game, and then take them off later on in the second half. Because at least you've got a little bit of minutes in their legs, and that's it for me. So that's my thoughts on the game against Aston Villa. Aston Villa, I think, will win. I think they'll win 2-1. I think we will score. Maybe even score another goal. I think they might win 3-1. But ultimately, I think the main focus will be on the game against Manchester United. But we've got to play our full team because we need form. It's massively we need form. Talking ball, big up to Talking Ball says 7-2 Tottenham. I don't see that happening at all, especially with our attack so far. I don't think that's going to happen at all, but very, very optimistic. But yeah, ultimately, I think we do have to improve on that form. We do have to, for me. And that's going to be a massive thing going into the Manchester United game next week, which is a massive game for us. It'd be interesting to see what happens after. Because we've got our last game against Brighton at home, and we'll see the atmosphere, whatever the result is against Manchester United next week. So, what is the feeling as we look into the week ahead? There's been so many rumours going out there about the manager's position, and there's been a lot of rumours today about Javi coming to Tottenham. Now, I was talking to Manny a little bit about Javi, and for me, I mean, I've got my thoughts on the manager, like I said, explained earlier to very early part of the show, the beginning of the show. With Paratici coming back, he will want his own man at Tottenham Hotspur. He would want his own man at Tottenham Hotspur because he never really rated Ange Postecoglou. So, with the sort of managers that Paratici's done in the past, he would want a big name, someone that's got a little bit of pedigree, a little bit of who's got that gravitas, and you wouldn't be surprised if Javi will come through the door. Now, you see some of the quotes that he's made. He said about some quotes about him wanting to go to somewhere where it's a long-term project, and that's what his motivation is, and he wants to work in the Premier League. So, when you look at the players that we've got, and if he can bring his own coaching staff, and I think that's the main thing for me. I think if he comes to Tottenham, he's got to insist to have his own coaching staff. He's got to have his own coaching staff, because if he doesn't have his own coaching staff, he won't be able to. I think that's going to be a problem from the very get-go for me. He has to be able to be provided that area to be able to work with the players he's got, also get the players that he maybe wants to work with as well, get the players that he might not want as well, but then he'll be able to work with the youngsters as well to improve improve their way as well. What happens if he has Champions League though? Because that will limit the amount of time he's got on the training ground as well. That would be very, very interesting. That would be very, very interesting, because it does look like that will need a little bit more time as well. But maybe that would also give a bit of a challenge to some of the youngsters we've got, because they will want to take to that challenge as well. And that's another thing as well. It's very interesting to see whether he would be interesting. I know that he will have that influence in terms of coaching, which is what we need. He would thrive in that area maybe as well. Now, you know my thoughts on managers. I never really go too early on managers, because you only get to see, I think you've got to see how it works out over amount of time. But it does sound like to me somewhere where he would be a much more better fit than what we've got at the moment with Ange Postecoglou, and is adaptable to working with the players that he's got. Maybe be able to adapt as well. Maybe able to coach them as well. And that's it really for me. But yeah, this is the main thing. This is the main things really. Big up to everybody in the chat. Just bear me 2 seconds. Bear me 2 seconds, guys. Bear with me 2 seconds. Hold the thought. Just big up to everybody. Big up to everybody. Yeah, sorry, just had to take a little break. Sorry, just bear with me. Big up to everybody. Yeah, a little bit of an intermission. Yeah, big up to you. Big up to you. Big up to you, CM, EM. Big up to you. Yeah, but that's just my thoughts on him. Exactly. I haven't really looked into too much. I've done a little bit of research on him before, but I haven't got that with me at the moment. But just my initial just chatting to you guys, and that's really my thoughts on him. You know, I just think this is where we need at the moment. I saw some rumors today, though. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to set it up because of time element, and that's it. Because obviously, Mr. Box Office was benching, which is the most important thing, really, to get some energy. You know, the best thing, you know, to bench, you know, to slim down, and that's it. But I saw this rumor today that Tottenham Hotspur are considering the Ajax manager, who is Farley. It's a quote from a tweet from Ruddy Galletti. Tottenham will consider Ferrari the ideal candidate to replace Postecoglou in the summer. THFC have not made a final decision yet, and will wait for the Europa League final before making further moves. But the Ajax manager is a solid option. So he's an Italian manager, managing Ajax. Now, I haven't done a lot of research. I've done some research on him in the past, but I haven't got it with me at the moment. But this is just something that's just come up on my feed. And yeah, so it's an interesting one, the Ajax manager. It's an interesting one, the Ajax manager. So, you know, for me, I mean, again, it's kind of, you know, I mean, we have to take into consideration Frank de Boer came from Ajax, Where was Ajax in the actual Eredivisie? Let me see now. Have a look now. Big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everybody. And keep liking, subscribing to the channel. We're trying to aim to get into 2,000 subscribers. So please help me out. So second in the league. Second in the league. They got knocked out in the Europa League as well. I think they got knocked out. I can't remember who they got knocked out by. But second in the league to PSV. Is PSV's manager? Who's PSV's manager now? It's an interesting one. Anyway, let me share this with people. Then he says here, box office Ajax bottled a 6-point lead at the top of the Dutch league. Well, apparently mental by De Zerbi. We were linked with De Zerbi, to be fair. We were linked with De Zerbi. There was a rumor about De Zerbi. He was. I mean, I wouldn't mind him. I think there was initially he looked really good, but I think it was just because of his De Zerbi wanted to have the ambition to bring Brighton to another level, and I think Brighton were at a certain level. So I think that was the problem with De Zerbi. I think that was the thing with De Zerbi. But yeah, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I need to do more research on him. Because I did do a little bit of research on him before. But I just didn't do a lot. I haven't looked into him, but there's rumors about him. Another manager that I think people are sleeping on at the moment, and he's the former Juventus manager. And I think he's gonna. I think Paratici will be looking at this guy because he just fits he ticks all the boxes that I think he ticks all the boxes that Paratici will look in a manager. I do think he will be the next Juventus manager, and I'm just trying to get him. I'm trying to get the names up right now. I haven't got the recent one anyway, but what was his name? It's just Thiago Motta. Thiago Motta. That was the Juventus manager. I think he would be one manager on the list. I do think he will be. If everything is what I think is going to happen in the summer, with a big clear out, and this I'll give him credit again, Saba. He said this. I do give him credit for this one. When Ange goes, and Paratici comes in, Vernay comes in, and maybe even Gabbiadini comes in as well. I think what he'll do, he'll go for someone that's more balanced rather than just going all out attack or all out defense. And I look at Thiago Motta, and he's kind of a youth coach. I think he was a youth coach before, wasn't he? Let me have a look here. Let me get here. So previous clubs, he was so he was Bologna manager, head coach, replacing I can't remember that's his name. I'm going to butcher his name. But yeah, let me just see it now. Let me share this because everyone doesn't know what I'm looking at here. There we go. Let me just bear with me, folks. Yeah, share my screen. Here we go. There we go. Right, so there we go. So Thiago Motta. So he plays a 4-3-1-2 main style. And so this is Thiago Motta, which I do reckon, if this is, I think this is one that Prodigy would look at, definitely. There's another manager as well that I've been banging on about, and Ariola would know this manager as well, know this man, because he used to work with him as well, and I can't remember his name now, but I've been talking about him. He's a Nets manager, I think, a Nets coach that's been impressive. So he came from, so he used to manage Genoa. But his last stint was Bologna. Well, he was Bologna manager, which he was very, very impressive, I think it was. And he declined to leave, declined to extend his contract at Bologna. And then he went over to Juventus. And I don't know what happened at Juventus. I think it was just results weren't good enough at Juventus. And now he's been replaced by Igor Tudor. But I do think he would be a manager that and he did do well. He did do well at Juventus. I mean, I need to do a little more research on him, Thiago Motta, but I do feel that he might be an option because he's obviously out of work as well. And whatever he done out of work, because I mean, these managers that are out of work, some of these managers go out and try and do some other. Yeah, this is funny. Aliski, another Juventus reject. But you know what, Aliski, sorry if I got that wrong. Sometimes it's good to have, rejects are sometimes very, very good. Look at Salah. Salah was a Chelsea reject, and look what happened to him. You know what I mean? Sometimes that can be a compliment. You know what I mean? So, it's not always a bad thing. It's not always a bad thing to be a Juventus reject. It could be a Real Madrid reject. He's still a good player. You're still a very good player. You know what I mean? So it could work in different ways. So, he does. He has some good positive things about him in terms of his time at Bologna. So, there are some good things about him, but overall, I mean, it is a bit of a gamble, yes, especially after Ange, and if he wins the Europa League, it does. Admittedly, and I didn't admit this to Manny, and because I wanted to let him have his say as well, because I only had a certain amount of time with him. It does put a lot of pressure on the next guy that comes in. It does put a lot of pressure on the next guy. It does, because the fans are going to be saying, if you sack the manager that's actually won you something and he's been the most successful manager of the last 2 decades, and then you go on and go do work. I mean, yeah, in the league, he could definitely do better, but he's won you a big trophy. Now, regardless of what we think about it, he's still our most successful manager in the last 2 decades who wins the Europa League. Fact. But it does put pressure on the next manager. It does. One thing he will do better than what he should do better than what we're doing in the league right now. Yeah. So, he will do better. That person will do better, hopefully. We should do anyway, with the squad we've got. I would definitely love to have Glasner. I know someone in the chat said about Glasner. I would love to have Glasner. I think Glasner, well, no, I wouldn't say love to have Glasner, but I think Glasner looks a very good option. But from what I see from him, improving the players that he's got with Eze, Wharton, I think Wharton's a brilliant player. I think he really impressed me when he played against Crystal Palace away from home. He really did impress me. When Palace were at home to us, I think he was really, really good. Really, really good. So, you know, for me, just you know, Lacroix, fantastic defender, absolutely fantastic defender. Guay, fantastic defender as well. You know, heads the ball, proper defender, proper defenders, the way they defend. And it don't look like a squad that is absolutely fantastic. It's not. It's just the way that he uses the squad very well. I think he's very, very good. Very, very good. So yeah, ultimately, yeah, very, very good. Yeah, and I think there's some interesting news out there. Where you can see that, you know, I think it's going towards him leaving, Ange Postecoglou, and looking towards coaches. But it's just really a case of seeing whether we can get the right sort of coaching that's able to cope with it, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, Daniel makes a very good point here. Gaz has lost 2 of his best players in the summer, as well as Elisa. Yeah, absolutely. And he's still seeing the best of what he's doing with the squad that he's got. It's been really, really good. Really good. Then he makes the points here. I'm definitely taking Motta over Ange, but Xavi, Glazer would definitely be much more better for us. But I understand box office. Practically, the Italian market, Motta makes sense. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, we're going to be wrapping up the show soon because it is getting very late. I probably will do a show tomorrow. I'm not going to make any promises, but I will probably make a show tomorrow. But big up to everybody in the chat. Big up to everybody that's watching. Thank you to Manny as well for coming on the show. Please like and subscribe to his channel as well, because we should support everybody. Like I say, I'll stick by what I say, and I don't care what anybody else says. Right? And a big up to We Are Tottenham TV. Like I said, I love the boys. I love the boys. You know what I mean? But I was disappointed that they didn't let me debate Manny, which we just did right now. You know what I mean? Because when you stop somebody from wanting to actually have a debate, when you a character like Mr. Box Office that loves to debate, if someone says something silly, that's fuel for Mr. Box Office. And when Sim didn't let me do it and he's doing it with other people, that's not cool. That ain't cool. You know? We come on the show and we come and make ourselves known. So, but it is what it is. But we're on the way to Bilbao. Unfortunately, I won't be able to go. But, you know, it's a shame, but I'll be definitely watching the game. We're going to go and win this game. And then we'll have to see what happens after that. Now, if it doesn't happen and I'm embarrassed, well, that's nothing different because we always get embarrassed as Tottenham fans. And to be honest, it just only makes me feel then he won't be the best successful manager in our last 2 decades. So a win-win situation for me because I don't want him to be the most successful manager anyway. But it's not about him; it's about Tottenham Hotspur, and this is the best opportunity to win a European Cup. And that might never happen again, this opportunity. So we've got to win. And we've got to back the boys. And we've got to see this happen. And we will see it happen, hopefully. And that's all I've got to say today. On the day where people will say that we need to give him credit, Ange, I say no. Until you win Europa League. And then he's proved me wrong. And I'll hold my hands up and say, you proved me wrong. You won your second season. You proved me wrong, Ange. So I hold my hands up. But still, you should walk or leave. And that's all I've got to say on that one. On the day, I put people straight, told it how it is, had a little debate with Manny, and we come to our own truths, and that's it. On the day where we've got a game against Aston Villa. And is Ange going to play his full team? And on the day where it's not very nice outside today, but will it still be a very good day next week in Bilbao in the European Cup final? And as always, everybody in the chat, big up to everybody in the chat that's watched all over the world at Box Office City and all over the globe. As always, like we always close this show and wrap up the show. If you didn't know, get to know, support your boy, Mr. Box Office, subscribe and like, and come on, you Spurs. And we're out. Bye-bye.